Using marijuana before the age of 25 could actually cause changes in our memory. That's because THC, the active chemical in weed, attaches to receptors in the hippocampus, the part of your brain that creates memories. Learn about marijuana at our website.
Hi there, I am Adem Kibas. I am here in Ordu in Turkey. We are still in the pandemic. This is a cloudy August day. And this is another episode of my podcast. And right now we are talking about character arts. We are talking about appeal to people and what may in a way speak to viewers of TV show, what make why are TV characters in that sense beloved, hated, or whatever. Okay, we did not talk much of hate in that sense. Maybe later on. Maybe hate is something a subcategory. Well, maybe later on. However, before we continue, I will make an announcement, and this is, of course, I want to talk about desire. This is, I think, a very important topic for me personally. But before we do that, I want, in a way, continue with or want to record another, if you want, short story. Well, this was not really a short story the last time. However, but also I want to use this opportunity to record another audio file, a story, and then we will some sort of continue with desire, which is very important as well, I've been thinking about it for a while, and we will do some sort of analyze desire like we did with hate. Again, hate is not final, so we will still maybe come to some sort. We will maybe find overlappings with desire as well, and this is something we will then find out in our inquiry. However, the last time we talked about Mad Men, we talked about the TV show and about Don Draper. I mean, how he's been perceived, especially why people may admire him. Of course, the Don Draper, we said, some sort of epitomizes positive, if you want, or a rather old-fashioned type of being a superior. And this is that you are a man, that you are a very potent man. You are, in a way, not feminized. So this is what this is all about. So you're a potent man. He has a lot of female sexual partners. He is in charge. This is some sort of admirable. And if you compare him to Roger Sterling in the TV show, Roger Sterling in a way seems ridiculous, like a child, and Bert Cooper is in a way some sort of detached. He is not really a boss, and in a way a weirdo. So in that sense, Don Draper maybe have or has so much attraction or appeal to many men, or many men in that sense that they wanna be like him. They wanna emulate him and so on, because he's been considered manly, because Don Draper fulfills these demands what society has on men, like we said, these demands of society, they did not cease. They are still in the society, no matter whether the rise of feminism. We talked about feminism as well. Feminism sees independence and self-determination rather through taking over male behavior, despite the fact that they advocate that all gender is or that gender is a social constructed and so on. But however, manliness or acting like a man is still being considered strong. Still, many feminists emulate this behavior, being manly, having manly facial features, or physical features. I mean, what is manly? To have a muscular appearance. You have clearly a non-female appearance. This is what some people partially, or which is partially documented in anorexia, for example, that people, or that women with anorexia, or some of women with anorexia have actually a dislike about female, or being a female, being too much female. This would mean that having curves, broad hips, and so on. So this is considered in a way as not appealing, and as well as some feministic approaches deny or in a way negate womanhood and some sort of adapt male behavior. And Don Draper from Mad Men sort of has this appeal on it. I mean, even though he may be hated, assumably he will be hated by many feminists. However, nevertheless, he is this ideal role model, or what people want them to be, or what people in a way have in their idealized view how a man should be. Not only how he should be in that sense that he should be manly and good looking and so on, no, that he should be in charge, that he's some sort of the leader. He's the leader. He knows what's been done, and he has a lot of sexual adventures. This means he's important, despite the fact, of course, Mad Men has a broader story. I mean, this is every time the case is as well as with the Sopranos the case. I mean, that there is a broader story, a broader narration, and that Mad Men, in that sense, has to be considered, or is sadness as well. I mean, this is what you see with Breaking Bad. I mean, this Breaking Bad, Mad Men, and Sopranos. These are, if you want, TV shows which engage your mind, as well as you think about, or should think about, the broader meaning of life. But however, nevertheless, this is always manliness, which is always in our time, especially in our time, attacked, as well as very fragile. And this is what you have with the other side of Don Draper. In that sense, he has to hide who he is. I mean, he was a coward. He took over the identity of a hero, of a war hero, Lieutenant Don Draper, because he was just Dick Whitman, a nobody. I mean, I would not say that his mother is a whore, that this is some sort of or you have to see that his mother is a whore, or his social background in that sense is actually that he's in a way, or should show you that he's in a way from a background which is not suitable, which you would expect with Prince Charming, for example. I mean, Prince Charming, he's someone, this chivalrous knight who comes from a good family, and who has, of cause some faults which makes him only human, whatever these faults may be, and then he is so charming and so. So this is again Don Draper's background. May. This is something I have to emphasize. This is my interpretation. However, maybe some sort of an indication of the end, or an indication of this old value system of this militaristic class, because militaristic class in that sense that the military, especially in continental Europe as well as, had a long tradition among the nobility, especially in entire continental Europe. The nobility would always be leading personnel in the military, would be officers and so on, and then of course, or in continental Europe, where you wanted to join the military, if you were not blue blood, or if you had no blue blood, then it was very hard for you to rose through the ranks. I mean, there are a lot of examples. I know some examples from the German military, despite the fact that the German military was in a way very effective, in a sense sadly effective, one has to say. However, they were pretty much close to commoners. Commoners had it pretty much tough to become a general and so on. So, and you could in a way some sort of assume that this is some sort of the darker side of Don Draper. So his background, he's no chivalrous knight. He has to hide his background. He's not hero. He's not a war hero, because what was the old nobility known for? A war that they would or that they had created institution. The nobility was the institution of military landlords who had special rights because they defended special areas of the empire, special areas of their country whatsoever. This has, of course, if you know a little bit history, history of the late Roman Empire, then you know, or then you see some of those developments which then took place, which are then crucial in the Middle Ages, and this is the rise of soldier kings. This is the rise of the military in the Roman Empire. The military becomes more and more important. This is what then later is taken over in the Middle Ages, and then becomes some sort of the gender, the arc, how man should behave, where man should orient themselves, and then the nobility then pretty much is the institutional manifestation of this war, of this, and of manliness. And this is then, there are a lot of movies as well of people. I mean, there's a lot of, I think with Heath Ledger and so on, where men struggle because they are not of noble blood and so on. This is something you can, in a way, interpret with Don Draper. So he has this darker side. He is not of noble blood. He is some sort of not part of this elite, this privileged elite, because if you will see Roger Sterling as well as Bert Cooper, all these they were all privileged. They were all born in the upper class. Or a great example is Pete Campbell. I mean, he has a name. He's very he grew up very privileged, and he feels himself entitled to, and so on, so. And this is a whole different approach than you have to Don Draper, because he is not this chivalrous knight. He only took over this idea, and this is what we talked about the last time. This struggle of man in a way to keep up this role model of man, to keep up that you as the man are pretty much on top, that you are leading the society, that you in a way can take care of yourself as well as of your family, that you actually are there where you expect it to be. So this plays a crucial part in Don Draper. So where you have to say that there are actually two sides of one medal. In one hand, you have to pretend, you have to wear this mask which puts a lot of pressure on you to become this certain successful man, this certain, and everything pretty much is determined by him. I mean, even feminists emulate them or hate them, whatever it is. But this is this white middle class man. I mean, in the university, this is the group which is mostly hated, despised, hated, and so on. And Don Draper, in a way, once appears like him. His mask appears like this man, but deep inside he's struggling. He's questioning. He's not of noble blood. He's struggling with alcohol. He has a hate against himself. He cannot keep his family. So Betty Draper divorces him because he lied to her. This is, again, you can some sort of interpret this as, yes, she hoped for a chivalrous knight. She hoped for someone, or she assumed that he's something special. She assumed that he is this old man. She assumed he's this role model of a man, or epitomizes this man, this attractive man. But then she finds out that he is a crook, that he deceived her, and she then feels in a way deceived not for her emotions, deceived not because he had a lot of other women which she assumed or not assumed, but she feels herself betrayed of this ideal image of a man she had, and then she was some sort of betrayed, like a little girl who thought she got the high price, or a woman who thought that she had found Prince Charming, and it turns out it is only the peasant boy, and so on. So disappointment in that sense, and here you can again see that this arc, in a way, or the social foundation of this character arc in the society, especially in our millennial age. I mean, things have changed, especially now in the job market. Women have more and more are competing with men for jobs, or as well as create new jobs and so on. Despite the fact that women are still struggling. Yes, of course, this is still far away from equality. However, but women more and more compete with men. Women more and more sometimes question the dominance of man. So you are not only it does not go unquestioned that the man is in the lead, and so on. And this, of course, leads to a decline of manhood. We talked about this in gender. So there is a fragile manhood. There's some sort of this two strings pull at you as a man. The one string that pulls you in a way is that you have to become this ideal man, and the other is some sort of a questions it. This is what you have seen with male feminism and so on. So in a way you try to appease women, or want to help them and so on, but yet you somehow can't do it, or this is misplaced. This does not really help feminism and and so on. So this is a lot of tension. And with Mad Men, despite the fact it was rather portrays manhood in the 60s and 70s, especially the decline of manhood. However, it would take still half, or it will take still 30, 40 years, and until it is really fulfilled, or we are half a century, almost half a century there, and still nothing really happened, despite that some women accused men of sexual misconduct. So women are still not there or are being treated equally in that sense. However, but you still have this decline here in the 21st century. You still have this decline of manhood, or this understanding of manhood in a way. In my generation, this like the free fall in the intro of Mad Men, this free fall of this madman who falls down from a high point. You could say this falling is still happening. So this has not stopped. So this madman who falls down the skyscraper is still falling. So the old customs, or the old value system where we in a way understand manhood, and so it still questions, but it still has some sort of one catch, if you want, that it is still being preserved, that it is still being conserved in that way. I mean, you could partially answer with Michel Foucault that the left, or many feminists, if you want, some sort of artificially maintain this androcentristic view of a man, or this image of pater familias, so that they have something to fight against, so that they have something to throw dirt against whatsoever. So there are of course many explanations for that, why this construct of manliness, that the man has to be in power, in charge, and so on, why this is still in one hand very attractive, appealing, in the other hand it is the question, but yet somehow starting, if you want, with the beginning, with the second wave of feminism in the 60s and 70s, this was questioned, but still it has preserved itself. It is still being considered as appealing. It is some sort of a hate-love relationship among the many feminists, because in one hand, of course, you have to be aware, I mean, it is of course easier to make something or someone responsible for everything that goes wrong in your life. Yeah, this is easier, and we know the psychological implications of this. However, but still, this manliness, this being strong, being on top, or this value system of what is a man, it has still preserved itself, despite the fact, if you want, that the gender was some sort of removed from it. So and nowadays, one would say, being on top or taking so much space, despite the fact that so many some sort of ranted and raved against that men take up so much space and so whatever. I mean, all nonsense came forward. However, despite the fact that manliness some sort of is still questions, but if you want, the insignias of power still are being preserved. If you want, I mean, we talked about Game of Thrones. This is what you see in the end with Cersei claiming the throne. So if you this throne of Game of throne, this some sort of this manliness, this androcentristic worldview, what many feminists want to fight against, want to hate, what many feminists blame to be the root of all evil. I would say partially, and very. We have to be here very accurate. It is not all this androcentristic worldview. There is a lot of culture and religion as well. However, they despise this worldview and so on, but then in the end they can't resist to seat themselves on this throne or even claim to be the queen and so on. This is something you have in Egyptian culture as well. I mean, with Hatshepsut and all these women, Cleopatra. Okay, maybe not so with Cleopatra, but with Hatshepsut and so on. So, or in general, some women who came to power, they immediately adopt male bearings. They immediately adopt some sort of, as well as male appearance. So this is what I think, saw with Hatshepsut, that she, in a way, in the beginning was perceived as a woman, but then more and more she adopts to male behavior, and this even has appearance, like her face becomes more rugged, if you want, and her posture more dominance, and so on. So this, if you want, still happens with feminism. So there's a hate-love relationship towards this towards this so-called patriarchy, which in that sense really not exists anymore. I mean, this is what you see in Sopranos as well. If you, I don't know, Sopranos is, if you watch it, Sopranos, then you see some sort of, there is a nostalgia of these old times when the mobsters, when the mafia was at the high peak. I mean, why the mafia? I mean, this is what you see in these mafia movies, and I think it was in The Godfather where this some sort of is explained why this fascination with the mafia among so many Italo-American youth. And one thing was that the mafia in its construct, or it is in a way imagined the mafia as some sort of a Roman Empire, or that you are some sort of Roman emperor with all your people around you. So you are the emperor, and all these people they are around you. You are some sort of, as well as a man, the pater familia. You are the head of your family. So this old perception, this old world, what might one assume, and so on. And this was in the past pretty much very vivid. I mean, this is what we talked about it briefly, which pretty much some sort of emerged in the French Revolution in order to bring order in this chaos, because with the fall of the nobility in the French Revolution, with the fall of the old order, everything some sort of deteriorated. The French were not capable some sort of keep order in order keep this democratic society alive, because of terror, because of Jacobin lynching, murdering. So it was a very dangerous time. And then the French Revolution, people thought, the only way we some sort of make a peace, or in a way still can keep some parts of the or accomplishments of the French Revolution alive, is that we some sort of put more emphasis to the father, that we give him more power, so that we don't have to go back to the old nobility, but as well as some sort of end this chaos, because this is what the French Revolution pretty much led to: chaos, to a high bloodshed, and it was not possible in a way to bring this to an end. And this is what then later happened with Napoleon apart, he became himself an emperor, and this was even approved by many people. Okay, admittingly, people were just exhausted. The terror had just demanded a high price. People were scared, and then some sort of people thought, yeah, it was back in the days when the king, when the French king was still around and was in charge. Well, things were not that bad anymore, so the people some sort of turned that way, but in a way they did not really like the Bourbon dynasty and so on, and this then led to the rise of Napoleon, and he became then the emperor. This was pretty much with approval of the people, because this terror had just demanded a high price. It just people were not willing to put up with this, and this Pater Familia is still vivid, is still preserved in the society. And still swings with it. I mean, the nostalgia in the Sopranos, but in the Sopranos as well, you can see that the fall of the family in that sense, because this is again some sort of a phenomena we talked about in about our age and about our development. This is that the change of family ties. So this is family ties became looser. So friendship changes significantly, and so on, and as well as what you've seen in Sopranos, as well as in Mad Men. This is some sort of this insanity, this madness, what this entire change brings you in. So this is like if you want that you as a man have to always cope with the change of your society. I mean, if you see the time Mad Men was made, or should in a way portrays the years, the 60s and 70s, and then you have Sopranos, which is still started in the 90s. You can still see here as well. There's still this rift within this self-perception of a man. This rift that you still are struggling to maintain, that you're still struggling to keep up, and this change, this great transformation, and these things, they put man under pressure. This is what you see in both TV shows as well. So even though you may have sympathies for Don Draper as well as for Tony Soprano, nevertheless, one big issue is that they are struggling to cope with the changes. I mean, especially in the Pater Familias. I mean, if you have a daughter, if you have a son, your son is not so as strong as you. The people around you, they depend on you. So you have to always make the decisions of your family. So this ideal view, what everyone some sort of expects. I mean, you are the head of the family. This is what some men and so on, especially in some conservative, well, not only conservative, but this is as well as in many left groups and so on, pretty much idealize, some mourn, if you want, mourn to those old times, or think that back in the days everything was good. This is what we talked about in male nostalgia, this gender, so that you live in the past, idealize the past still, but then you some sort of confronted with the reality, and this is that this family is dysfunctional. This is not if you want some everything is fine. This is not like that nothing happens with trouble. No, quite the contrary. There's a lot of intrigues going on in Tony Soprano. His own mother wants to get him clipped, as well as the people around him, they don't seem to understand him. There is one episode, this is where he some sort of notices that the people around him that they just some sort of are butt lickers. They only wanting to like them, so they are not very natural around him, and he then becomes more aware. He is isolated. This is again this old view, this some sort of the destruction of this nostalgia that you thought would be ideal. This gender of a man that you thought would have so much appeal, but in the end it some sort of has a dark side on it, and this is that it makes you isolated, that things do not work as it should be, like, I mean, your children, and that these things always are violence. So you have to assert your self-violence, and as well as you see this in Sopranos, partially in the Sopranos, as well as that you have to, in a way, maintain this old view, this nostalgia, and it takes a lot of strength. It takes a lot of view, or it eats up, if you want, a lot of your a lot of the people around you, because you some sort of drag all the people around you, like it would be an old word, of course. We have to say or add to it that the mobsters or the organized crime is, in a way, a closed society where things evolve differently, where things happen in their own time, and especially because this mobster culture is intertwined with the Italian identity, which came over from as a migrant and suffered through exclusion. This, of course, plays a crucial part as well, and you see some references to that in Sopranos as well. So this migrant, or how Italo-American migrants, or how Italo-Americans should be perceived, or what is the way they are, or that the Italo-Americans, that they struggle with their own self-perception as well. So there are some episodes where the friends of Dr. Melfi debate about it, as well as within the community. I mean, how should Italo-Americans be perceived, or are they only perceived through the mafia, through organized crime? So this thought is that all Italo-Americans some sort of our criminals, but or are they perceived all as criminals, or do they have some sort of a contribution, if you want, a cultural contribution to the society as well, and why aren't they seen through this cultural narration? And as well as there's a very interesting episode where there's a discussion whether those mobster movies like Godfather and so, whether they are not harmful actually to the perception of Italo-Americans. So you have here as well as the migrant element as well, but it is partially, or if you want, in Sopranos, it is not very significant, this migrant element. However, but you can really see some sort of this role model, or that this struggling to maintain this role model, and the same you have in Breaking Bad as well. In Breaking Bad, Walter White, he was some sort of a pushover. Never anyone took him seriously. Again, something changed. I mean, in his youth, he was this sophisticated with a high self-esteem. I mean, there are some flashbacks where you see Walter White in the TV show, how sophisticated and even, if you want, condescending he is, but then things later changed. He becomes very cautiously and so on. But then things change when he becomes Heisenberg, because this is what he, in a way, even though he does it for the thrill, he does it for himself, and in the end he admits it, but he does it as well as some sort of to take care of his family, because he still wants to be the strong man. I mean, there's one scene, this is pretty much iconic, where he says to Skylar, I am the danger, and so on. So this is again this self-assertion, this is again this fulfillment, or this strong urge that you have to fulfill a special role model as a man. And then he gets this very iconic then when some sort of when Walter White, with the help of Saul Goodman, some sort of try to wash the money and want to make it appear to his family that some people would donate money to Walter White's cancer treatment. There you see Walter White gets upset because no one knows that he earned this money. And this is again some sort of, you have this trope. So again, this arc, this man that you take care of his family, he gets mad because his family some sort of gets money from charity, and he even is mad of his son, at his son, and so on, because he some sort of cannot be this father figure. He cannot be this strong man for his family, or he's the strong man, but his family doesn't know it. He cannot get recognition as the strong man, as this arc, what society wants him to be. I mean, this is one of the reasons, for example, what many people actually thought in the beginning, why Walter White's behavior was actually very honorable. This is because we are still, it sounds honorable in that sense. I mean, what is this man doing? I mean, he cares for his family. Of course, he enjoys the thrill. Yeah, of course. Who wouldn't? But it is still, it appears in that sense as honorable, because he some sort of takes care of his family, what he's supposed to do to be. And then you see the transformation from this pushover who has to clean his students' cars, to this self-sophisticated man, this strong man, this man who induces fear, who induces if you want, strongness, or who appears strong. Of course, this has a lot of appeal. And then people, of course, went mad when Skylar, Walter's wife, betrayed him, ran away. She stood in it. She did not stand with her man, and so on. And this, again, you have some sort of a change of perception. What do you perceive as manliness? I mean, should have, is there another way, and so on. And again, you see here that the tension, this male role model puts on man. So you have to be this successful man. You try to fulfill your purpose in that sense. You are this 10 years man, and it becomes very difficult indeed. And we will talk about this later in our final episode, the next time, on the perception, on the appeal of characters. This was Adem Kirbas from Ordu in Turkey. We are still in the pandemic. I hope that you will take care of yourselves. Bye.
Hurry in during Ram Truck Month, where you'll find J.D. Power's #1 brand and new vehicle quality in 2021. And right now, finance and get $3,250 total cash allowance on the 2022 Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cab. Don't miss this great offer. Hurry into Ram Truck Month now. For 2021 J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Financing for well-qualified buyers through Chrysler Capital. Not all buyers will qualify. Residency restrictions apply. Take retail delivery by 5/2/22.